Hi friends, welcome to my channel and Happy New Year. I thought I would get on here and just share my top 24 of 2024 to kick off the new year. I read 207 books this year, so difficult to pinpoint only 24 of them, but these are all 5 stars that I read throughout the year. To start off, I have a couple of honorable mentions, which are the Avenging Angel books from Kristen Ashley. The Avenging Angel is the first book. This is a play off of her Rock Chick series, where we follow the Rock Chick and Hot Bunch in Denver, and now the Hot Bunch with Liam Nightingale Investigations, they have branched off into Phoenix, and this series with these 2 books are following those characters. The first one is one of the kids from the Rock Chick series. He's grown up now, been in the military. He's working for Nightingale Investigations. The second one here is following Eric Turner, who we meet in one of the books of the Rock Chick series. He doesn't get with anybody. He is now a part of this branch off of Nightingale Investigations, so we get to visit him again. In both of these books, we visit the Rock Chick, the Hot Bunch, all of the old crew, and we get to meet a whole new crew. They're essentially like Charlie's Angels now, and they are roaming around Phoenix and trying to help solve some crimes. So those are honorable mentions for me because it leads into my first favorite of 2024, the Rock Chick Rematch, which is the last novella in the Rock Chick series. This follows Darius and Malia. We've met them throughout the whole Rock Chick series, which she wrote well over 10 years ago. So any fellow Kristen Ashley fans, everybody was thrilled for this book this year. We finally get his backstory of who killed his father, how his journey went after that. We kind of get tidbits throughout the initial series, and Kristen Ashley said she would never write this book, or at least didn't have plans to, so it was super exciting to get this in the beginning of the year. So definite my top favorite for me. Here. The next one, another big hit from everybody this year, Funny Story by Emily Henry. I heard mixed things on this throughout the year. I really enjoyed it. These 2 characters kind of coming together because their partners initially get together because they have a thing going on, and then these 2 get together and start to make them jealous. It is a funny story. Their journey's really sweet. I love how they kind of just start as friends, and it grows into something more and ends up staying something more, which is what they both deserved after what they went through. My next one is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, which is a big hit with everybody. I just started reading her this year, so I read a couple other ones before this and then went into this one, and it was just so much fun. Emma and Justin both have horrible dating histories. Everybody they're dating ends up meeting their happily ever after them. So they find each other on the internet and decide that they should get together and cancel that out. And just for the summer, so it starts a fun little adventure for them, where they're staying, and it was just super sweet. I loved how they became friends out of this random encounter, and it grew into more. Abby Jimenez just has a great way of making you really feel what these characters are feeling, and bringing you into the story. So I'm so glad I found her this year, and this was definite, probably top 5 favorite. Another top favorite was Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. She's another author I kind of found this year. Prior to years before this, I read some of just the same authors until I really joined the Bookstagram world, and Elsie is one of them that I found within this year. Of course, Heartless with Cade probably tops my books of hers maybe, but this year specifically, this one just really outdid it for me. Wes and Skylar are just so much fun. I love the humor that Elsie puts in her books, and she just really makes her characters so fun to be a part of. I loved the banter between them, their story, how Wes is like a super fan of her, and she comes in and he saves her in their small town. She's just trying to get a break from the world of fame. She's so good with his kids, and I love seeing characters from the other books from her stories. Wild Love before this one was really good as well, but I honestly think this one ended up topping it for me. Another one this year, Christina Lauren's The Paradise Problem. I found them this year. As you can see, I got lucky enough to get an advanced reader copy when this came out earlier this year. I was super surprised with how much I loved this book, which I've seen their books around. I had just never read them, obviously. So this one was super fun. It had me cracking up. Anna and Liam are in a marriage of convenience in a sense. They kind of partnered together to get them through college, made a deal for their apartment, and then it ends up turning into more because Liam needs to be married for family issues that come up. So she takes a vacation with him and his family, and she is the complete opposite of what his family would like for him, or just what their family is in general. So it's just a super fun trip to follow along with them. Naturally, as all fake marriages, they end up falling in love. Little drama there in the end, but he finally realizes that he needs to be with her. It doesn't matter how different she is, what his family wants. But they wrote it just so fun, and the trip was hilarious, and just a super fun summer read for sure. And then another, this one has been highly anticipated as well for anyone who is a Meghan Quinn fan. The Agitator series is absolutely hilarious. I could keep reading these over and over and will just crack up every time. I actually read the second book in this series first, and it just completely hooked me. So whenever we were getting Posey's book, I was just ecstatic. He is hilarious. The antics that these two get up to are just, will just have you rolling in the floor laughing. His coach's daughter, she becomes his assistant, and the coach has him just asking her all these crazy things. He's already been in love with her, so naturally they fall in love over that time, because who can resist Posey? The group texts between him and the girls from the previous books, him and his guy friends. Meghan Quinn just, I don't know how she does it or what she puts in her books, but she just cracks me up, and I cannot get enough. But this one this year from her was definitely a top pick. And then to keep on with the hockey theme, If You Need Me by Helena Hunting, another author I found this year. I have just been hooked in her books as well. She does great hockey romance. This series is super fun. I've actually only read the first one in this series. I haven't read the second one yet, but Dallas and Hemi in this are so funny, and he is so obsessed with her and just happens to get them in a fake engagement where he posts something on social media, and being a famous hockey player, everyone sees it and expects them to be together. So they have to just keep playing it off while he is secretly obsessed with her, but she hates him because they knew each other in high school, and he was very awkward and did not treat her right, not on purpose. So he finally learns of all that, and he eventually wins her over. They were super fun as well, super funny. She is, you know, if you like Meghan Quinn, any of those hockey romances, this one's a definite runner-up to some of those. They're just super funny, some heartwarming moments. Just had me hooked from the beginning. Another that was great this year, the Jodi Ellen Moffat, This Woman Forever. She was an author that got me back into reading 10 plus years ago. I have only read the This Man series from her, but I was hooked. I know I will probably love all of her other ones. This one was closing out, it's his point of view, so there's this one and two others. There's the 3 of the This Man series, 3 of this one, and they're following his point of view. So it was super fun to get to go back and see from Jesse's point of view and see like how he was feeling and his thought process throughout their struggles and their relationship to get going. You get more of his backstory, see into his head of what happened when he was younger and the issues with his brother, and when he had his daughter and she died. I really love when authors do that. Not that I necessarily think every series needs to have both point of views like that, but it was super fun after so many years of reading their story to get his views and his backstory and how people treated him away from Ava. So super exciting, and I was so happy that she did these books like this. Okay, I don't own all the physical copies of all these books, so the rest of these romance ones will be on here on the Kindle. I wanted to just share also how beautiful the colors look on this new color Kindle. I was super excited to get this for Christmas, and the teeny tiny matcha over here, they're both so great. My old Kindle Paperwhite was like super crapping out, so I was super excited Christmas was coming and I could ask for these, and I just love how beautiful the colors are. But this book was definite top pick for me. The Summer of Yes by Courtney Walsh. Georgina and Kelsey meet in the hospital. Georgina's there for treatment. She's an older lady. She's dying. Kelsey gets in an accident. She's here and finally realizes that she's just been living her life for her job and she's tired of it. So she eventually convinces Georgina that they should take a summer of yes, and she takes a road trip with her. They're going to where Georgina's estranged son is, and of course Kelsey is doing some scheming. It ends up in a super fun adventure. These two going back and forth is so funny. Georgina is just that stuck-up rich lady, so she's super snappy with Kelsey, and it's so fun. So an amazing summer read. Kind of gets you in that mindset of, you know, just say yes. Take the chances, have adventures, live your life, which is what Courtney Walsh expected from this story. She writes such fun, lighthearted stories, closed door. So if that's what you like, she is a great author to check out. Another hot pick for me was Play the Game by S.J. Silver, another author I found this year. Bookstagram is doing wonders for me, branching out and reading from all new authors. So I read a couple others from S.J. Silver, and then she brought this series out, not hockey series. This was the year of hockey romance for me as well. So I was super excited to get into this. It's Emery and Scotty's story. Emery is the hockey player. He's needing to get out of trouble in the public eye. They just keep seeing him with all these girls, or these girls are following him and trying to get him in trouble. So he comes across Scotty, and she is in need of some help money-wise, so he basically offers to pay her to be his wife. He needs a stable relationship for the public eye, and they just grow a relationship out of it. It's super fun. Quite a bit of turmoil, nothing super heavy. She's just needing the money to help take care of her brother and live. Things are tough. They end up falling in love. It was a super fun story. I love how protective he was of her. I was super glad to find S.J. Silver this year. I think this is going to be a great series to follow, so definitely one I would check out. I'm going to keep saying this. Another author that I found this year, Catherine Center, the Rom Commers, had a lot of hype around this one, so I was super excited to finally read this later on this year. It was really funny as well. Emma gets to write with her dream writer, Charlie Yates. He has no idea she's coming. He's kind of just thrown into the situation, but she ends up winning him over, and they start up a working relationship that of course turns into something more. I love towards the end of this how he finally just basically gives in and realizes life is worth living, and he tries to win her back after she's gone back home. Emma's trying to take care of her family, so she just needs money. She thought it would be a great opportunity. It's a bit of a struggle of a relationship, but it was really funny to read along and see their banter between each other. I love how her family just kind of brought him into the fold after a while. So this one was super fun. I will definitely be reading more of her books. Okay, one last hockey romance, I think, finally. I read so many of them this year. This one obviously was an ARC copy as well. It just came out today, the day that I'm filming this. It was super fun. It is the second book in the Nest series by Piper Rain. I've loved their books this year. They write great Christmas books. Their hockey romance is great. I haven't read read a huge number of their backlog, but so far everything I've read has been great. Mr. Broody, his single dad romance. They were friends to lovers. They've known each other since they were kids. We get chapters from his son Broody, and it was super fun to see the chapters from a little boy who's trying to get his dad to just be happy. And it's his adopted son, so he's never had anyone else but Henry in his life. So the found family aspect of this hockey team, just bringing everyone into the fold. This whole series has just, well, so far the 2 books have just a great found family aspect. The hockey team's great. I love how they just accept everyone. These 2 meeting back up after years of being apart because they separated in college when they both were ready to go make their dreams come true, and they didn't want to hold each other back. So the hockey players kind of thrusted them back in when Jade is back home. So it's super fun. They write very funny stories. I've super enjoyed their books so far, and the Nest series is continuing into 2025 and is definitely one you should check out. Okay, on to a couple Christmas books. November and December are always filled with Christmas books for me, and it is always so hard to pick some favorites. But this one by Morgan Elizabeth, Big Nick Energy, just was the Christmas vibe. Hallmark with some spice. It just gave me the absolute ultimate Christmas vibe that I was looking for. I don't know how to explain that feeling. Just cozy Christmas. They're have a Christmas tree farm. Nick is helping a single mom who has been in a previous abusive relationship, and he wants to just give them the world. She initially starts on a dating site and meets with his son, who's obviously much younger, but they clearly don't fit, and they just become best friends, and leads into her meeting his dad. And it just was full of just the whole time, I keep saying that, but just so much great Christmas feeling. I felt warm and cozy, and I will definitely probably keep reading this. And Morgan Elizabeth I've never read her books before, so I'm super excited that I found her this year, and this will definitely be another reread, and I will definitely continue in reading her books. Okay, so a second top favorite Christmas book was the 12 Dates of Christmas by Jenny Bayless. I adore her Christmas stories. I think I found her last year. I'm trying not to just hoover through all of her books super fast, but this one for this year was definitely a top favorite. The main character is trying to go on the 12 Dates of Christmas to find a date. Her best friend, who she has grown up with, naturally has to give her a hard time about everything. They're both end up secretly being in love with each other, of course. She goes on one very bad date. The guy is awful. He ends up being married, all kinds of things. So her friend saves her. It was just gave a fun, cozy Christmas vibe. The dates are all Christmas themed. I just love the way she kind of sets up her stories in these little cozy Christmas towns. They just make me feel very warm, give me big time Christmas vibes. So if you haven't checked out Jenny Bayless before for Christmas books specifically, I highly recommend her stories. Okay, so moving on from just regular romance, fantasy book here, House of Flame and Shadow. I think everybody was thrilled about this year. I really enjoyed it. I got hooked on her books from the ACOTAR series, and then my friend told me to move on over here. So I've really enjoyed this series so far. I loved getting to kind of visit those ACOTAR characters again in here. I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure I listened to this as soon as it came out, and I would have to go back through and try to remember a whole bunch of details. But I know I just remember really enjoying getting to visit old characters throughout this book. Probably not my top favorite. I think the first one is probably my favorite, but I really enjoyed this one this year. And I didn't read much fantasy, and I wanted to include a fantasy book in my top 24, so this one was definitely that pick. For a couple of romantic suspense types of books, The Summers at the Saint was a definite definite topic for me. I love Mary Kay Andrews' writing. I've read a lot of her Christmas stories, which is how I got hooked on her. But this one was super fun. Set at the Saint Hotel. The main character has taken over for her husband who has passed. It's his family hotel. She grew up going to this hotel. She was kind of the outcast kid, didn't come from a lot of money like a lot of these hotel goers do. So she meets him while she's working there during a summer. After a while, they end up getting together. So she's kind of taking over for him, and his family is still partially working there as well. So she struggles with the brother, who clearly doesn't want her to be there. The brother's daughter is working there. She's trying to figure out college issues. Ends up being at a party on the hotel property. She ends up getting hurt. Big investigation ensues. It's a big mystery of what's going on at the Saint. A lot of kind of guessing of what's going on in this story. I really like that she kept me guessing pretty much the whole time. I just couldn't put this book down. It was really fun for the summer, so there's kind of some romance-ish. It's not really the main focus, of course. You're more kind of having that mystery feeling, but it was super fun read, and I definitely recommend reading in the summer. Okay, last in the romance section, definite romantic suspense here. This one is not out yet. It comes out January 7th. I got this as an ARC, obviously. Catherine Cowles has become a top favorite author for me this year. Her stories always have me hooked. I am always guessing what's coming, but this one is a play on a true crime podcast, so that was super fun, kind of a different take from what I'm used to her, or what little bit I've read. I really haven't read a lot from her. So Ridley is the host of a true crime podcast. Nobody knows, but she's taken this on because her sister was kidnapped whenever they were in college. They never got answers. He was never found. So she started this podcast to try and help other families. Well, she ends up coming across a connection that could lead her to her sister's kidnapper or slash killer. Takes her to a small town in Shady Cove. She travels in this cute little van with her cat. The small town is not super welcoming. They don't want to bring up past memories because the sheriff, who she has an not so great run-in the beginning, it's his sister who is the connection to Ridley's sister's case. His sister survived the attack. She got away, so nobody wants her to relive that. But Ridley is determined. Her and Colt end up teaming up together. Everybody finally starts to believe her and realize that she may be able to help this case. So you kind of follow along that story. I was guessing the whole time. Not once did I think of who ended up being this kidnapper. Usually in some of her stories I can kind of guess, but this one, not one even little guess as to this person if it was going to be. So I don't know if anyone else who's reading ARCs has gotten it, or anyone who reads this in the new year will be able to guess it. I would be very curious if they did, because this is the first book from her that I haven't even had a moment of guessing the person who it was. So I highly recommend this when it comes out in the new year, especially if you're wanting some true crime type stories. It was really great. Okay, on to some thriller books. I have a couple of the physical copies. Clearly this one was a preview edition. I was super excited to get this because when I read The Butcher and the Wren, I was hooked. And Elena Urquhart, I listened to her Morbid podcast, so I'm just a little bit obsessed with her. She wrote a great first book, and this one was just as good. You're following along Wren's story from the first book. They're still trying to catch the killer. She kind of lets her guard down. It ends up taking them up to Boston. They end up on a manhunt for him as well. Ends in a complete way that I never would have guessed. She kills off somebody that, how dare you, Elena, because I was not expecting it. It was a super good, thrilling story. Will keep you hooked. If you haven't read the first one, of course you need to read the first one before this one if you want to venture into it, but she writes great books, and I also highly suggest their podcast if you like true crime, because it's amazing. another great thriller this year, The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I've never read his books before, so I was super excited to finally read one this year. I am looking forward to reading so many more next year. I kind of tend to like thriller books when it's like, you know, October, fall, spooky season. So I didn't really get into more from him, but this one had me hooked. I did not expect where it went. I had no idea what was coming. I kept guessing who was going to be the bad guy. This one was just super twisty, turny. It will keep you hooked and guessing throughout the whole book, and then kind of throw you for a loop there at the end. It was super good, and I'm definitely going to be hooked on his books, and we'll be reading more in this coming year. Okay, another fun thriller from a newer author I have read, Nicola Sanders' Don't Believe Her. My sister actually got me onto her books, and I'm so happy that she did. This one, the main character is engaged to her childhood friend's brother. Her friend Carla disappeared when they were younger. She had some dreams that she wanted to go follow, and she kind of just ran away. Her main character just thinks that that's not really what happened. She thinks she's been hurt or something's happened. Well, randomly now they're older, and Carla is back, but our main character here does not think that it's really Carla. So kind of follows a big mess of what happened to Carla and her brother and her mom. Everybody's got some kind of a backstory. There's constant twists and turns. I was super hooked into this story. The way Nicola Sanders' mind worked on this one was just kind of threw me for a loop. It was super fun. Definite recommend for thriller season if you are a thriller reader. She's Not Sorry by Mary Kubica, if that's how you pronounce it. Again, another author that I found from the Bookstagram world. I think I may have read her last year, but I'm pretty sure this year was kind of my first intro into her. This one completely blew me out of the water. I did not expect what was coming at the end. Our main character Meghan is an ICU nurse. They have a new patient who has come in who jumped off a bridge, super bad injuries. Turns out Meghan might have a connection to that patient. So definite top thriller pick. I don't know how Mary Kubica does it. She will completely send me one way, and then the ending will be something that I never would have seen coming. She does have a couple books that haven't been top picks for me. I probably wouldn't read again, but this is definitely one that I would read again, and I highly recommend for if you are a thriller reader. One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware was a great read this summer as well. Definite summer read. All of these couples are teaming up to go on a kind of a survival trip on an island. All hell breaks loose. There's a big storm. Everybody starts turning against each other. A couple people get kicked off kind of towards the beginning. Kind of a reality TV show vibe. So if you like those types of show, I would say like Survivor especially. This definitely gives that type of vibe. I was hooked in this book. This was my first ever book by Ruth Ware. I was very happy to find her this year. I love a good thriller that can just kind of keep you hooked, and that kind of takes a different turn on the thriller stories. So having kind of a reality TV show / Survivor type thing was really fun. She had me believing a lot of different things before the end finally hit. So definite one to keep you on your toes. If You Tell a Lie by Lucinda Berry was a definite high awaited book for me. I have fallen in love with her books. Her mind works just so twisty, and I just love reading that type of stuff. It kind of gives you true crime vibes. She was what I believe a psychologist or something of the sort, so she writes her books based similarly on cases that she has seen. And I just really like that kind of a psychological world. So this one's following a group of girls. It kind of flips back and forth from their high school days to when they met at summer camp. They were kind of the outcasts at their school, so when they meet up at summer camp, they're kind of the big girls on campus. They get into some trouble, of course. They've made a pact that they'll never tell anybody. Something happens, word has gotten out, they've somehow gotten back together, they've each gotten a note to meet up, and multiple mysteries pop up, a couple people die, they're trying to figure out who is behind everything, and it kind of, as you're flipping back and forth to their younger days, it kind of gives you that backstory so you can figure out who is causing all this trauma for them. And is obviously seeking them out to get revenge. So it was kind of a different take in a way than some of her more twisty books, but I was still hooked, and it is one well, any of her books I try to get anybody to read. So this one is for sure one to read. It's definitely a summery thriller vibe. Okay, so this one's not out yet. The Family Inside by Katie Garner. I couldn't just get the cover to pop up because the copy I got from NetGalley doesn't have the cover on it. I found Katie Garner this year, again from my sister. I kind of wanted to branch out in the thriller world, so I was super glad she sent me this, or well, her, and then I found this on NetGalley. This story follows a mom, Iris, who her husband has passed away. It's an unsolved murder. She can't afford her rent. She doesn't know how she's going to support herself and her daughter. It's been a few years, so she's seeing somebody now, and he offers to let them come live with his family. It's a weird situation of them like living with his mom and his siblings coming, and they're trying to get a house put back together, do some remodeling. It's very suspicious while they're there. Her daughter looks eerily similar to some of their family. A lot of secrets start coming out. Her daughter Ellery ends up leaving because she just doesn't feel right, and all kinds of chaos ensues. This one was very twisty-turny. I didn't know what to think throughout the whole story. A couple parts were a little hard to keep up with, but nothing that like made the story bad. I just probably have not used to her writing. I would definitely reread this one, and it is a top thriller that I will recommend. Could not put this one down, so definite read for you thriller fans. So that is my top 24 of 2024. I would love to hear what some of your top reads were this year. Drop them in the comments below. Let me know what you're planning to read in the new year. Some of these are coming out this next month, so I definitely recommend reading them, and I will see you guys in the next video.